All right, guys, mistake of the day. Keep an eye on other people's stacks. Today, I raised in the cutoff with 4-5 suited. A couple of limpers, I made it 15. I should have made it 20, but I made it 15. Like virtually everybody called. Flop came 6-5-5, so I flopped trip fives. And it's hard to put me on a 5 there when I'm the pre-flop raiser. Gets checked to me. I c-bet. Guy calls behind. There are 2 diamonds on the board, by the way. And the under the gun calls, everyone else folds. The turn is a 7. So I have an open ender now with my trip fives. It gets checked to me. I bet 45. The guy calls. And the guy under the gun jams all in for $80. Now, why I say keep an eye on people's stacks is because I bet 45, which was a fine bet size, which is like 2/3 pot, I cannot reopen the action. He went ahead and jammed for 80. I can't reopen it. If I just bet 40, 35, when he jams, I can reopen it and I can charge the guy next up, the old guy who's on the button. When he jams, there's a good chance he has a 5, he has a good hand. I'm not folding my trip fives for $45 more, considering he possibly could not have trip fives, even though he could have a boat, but I'm not folding. But because of how it played out with him just flatting both times, the old guy with that draw heavy of a board, I don't really put him in a 5. So when it comes back around to me, I want to charge that guy with diamonds, because he could easily have diamonds. So I can reopen it, but I couldn't reopen it because I wasn't keeping an eye on the guy's stack size behind me who had 80. The guy under the gun, that is. I didn't notice he had 80. If I had been paying attention, I would have bet less, so that if he does jam, I can reopen it up and charge the guy with diamonds more. But because of that, I ended up just calling, and he thought him and Hawden didn't want to call, but he called, and of course he would. He's getting an insane price, 6-1 or something. But if I go ahead and charge him $200, he probably folds, or I charge him more, at least for diamonds, right? He either folds or I charge him more. Well, what happened is the river came a 4 of diamonds, which gave me the straight, but it gave him the flush. I just saw the straight. I messed up. I didn't even see the diamonds. I'm like, ooh, I got a straight. And I thought for sure I was good against this guy, but I didn't notice it was a 4 of diamonds. I mean, so I bet 125, and I'm like, which was about a less than half a pot, which I thought was a good sizing he would call. And I'm like, oh crap, I saw the diamond afterwards. I'm like, shit. So he thought about it, he called, he had the king high flush, and he took it down, and the guy under the gun had 8-5 off, which I don't know about calling a raise with 8-5 off. It's funny, I wonder if I'd raised 20, he probably would have folded instead of 15. Usually I raise more when there's a number of limpers. People think sometimes it's because of the strength of my hand. It has nothing to do with the strength of my hand. It has to do with how many limpers there are. If you only raise to the standard $10 or $15 in a 1-3 game with a number of limpers, everybody's calling with God knows what. You want to charge more because you have a number of limpers in there. So I probably should have raised more to 20, but he probably would have called anyway. But he had 8-5 off, and the river came to 8 of diamonds. So he ended up hitting a boat. The other guy took my 125 for the diamonds. I made a mistake betting on the river, not noticing the diamond. That was my fault. I did hit the straight. He easily could have diamonds. I kind of feel like he could maybe have a 5. He could have a pair. I kind of like more of a block bet here. And if he raises, I just fold. I was going for value with 125, honestly. And I would have never bet that much if I had noticed there was the 4 diamonds that gave me the straight, which gave him the flush. So that was my mistake, not paying attention to the board. That was one mistake. The other mistake was not paying attention to the stack sizes. If I paid attention to the stack sizes, I would have raised. He probably wouldn't even been in there. But even if he sticks around, I have to charge him more. Don't give him that great of a price for the diamond draw. But I can't open it back up because I bet too much because the guy under the gun had only $80. If I noticed that, I would have bet a little smaller. Could have reopened it. So, number one, pay attention to the board, obviously. Pay attention to the diamond when you get a straight or a flush. Sometimes you see a hand, you're like, oh, I hit the straight. And you don't notice, you get excited about what you hit, but you don't notice that, hey, you could give someone else a better hand. So I don't know why I didn't notice that, but should have waited, thought about it, recognized the board was a diamond, and then, like I said, I wouldn't have lost as much, and I should have obviously recognized the stack sizes. So two big mistakes there, and hopefully I don't make them again in the future, but hopefully that helps you guys out. That was one big hand I had that if I had to do it all over again, I would have done it different, and hopefully I learned from it, and hopefully it helps you guys out too.